Welcome to the podcast, Yasinski Photography.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm glad that you're here. I'm just going to jump right in. Congrats on being Idaho Bride's favorite photographer. How does that make you guys feel?
It's exciting. We've put a lot of work in the last few years, starting from the ground up. It's like it's been a lot of work having a child now too, and a full-time job as well. When we started this, we both have full-time jobs, and we're still doing this like full-time on the side. And
well, I do it full-time now.
Now we've worked hard enough to, it feels good to finally be recognized after years of like hard work and like finally putting our time into it.
Yeah.
It feels really, really nice, surprising. I did not think.
I was shocked. I saw it and I was like, whoa, no way.
Yeah, we're still kind of shocked by being voted. We thought we'd maybe have a little bit of a chance to be in the maybe top 10 or something like that. So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding for sure.
Oh, good. I'm glad. What's the story behind you guys' business name? I know it's your last name, so.
Makes it easier. Well, actually, it used to be Ashby's Photos, which was my old last name. It was my maiden name. And then that was when it was just side business, and I was still shooting on automatic and in JPEG format.
No.
So I was not very professional at that point. And then I broke my camera. And then he got me a new camera. And then he decided to join along. And we were like, okay. And then I got married and I was like, okay, let's just switch it over to Yasinski then.
Yeah, it was when she started, she wanted to do a few different business ideas. So we had a few. She had done lashes, and we were kind of looking at like what can she do to prep for like when we have a child and stuff. Like can she be a stay-at-home mom and do? And lashes didn't work out. She always loved photography. I always loved videography. And then she really showed a lot of passion behind photography, and like I saw that she was like really improving and putting her time and effort into it. And then we happened to get married, and as soon as we got married, I didn't want her to do weddings alone. So I
stressful.
told her I would jump in and do photography as well. And then that's kind of when we changed the name, because it was Ashby Photos at the time and it didn't make any sense. And we were kind of looking at different names. Like there's a lot of different photography names that's like this upon the lens or something. And for us, we wanted to be a little bit more unique, that like our last name is unique enough where if people Google it, it'll come up.
Yeah.
And so we actually thought we weren't going to do Yasinski Photography.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure if we wanted to do our last name or not. And then it just kind of was like.
We realized that we kind of are the brand, and we want people to know, like when they think of our name, that it's actually us, not just a business.
Yeah, that's important. That's a huge reason why like I'm doing the podcast, because I want people to realize like you guys are people, and it's not just
a random business.
Yeah.
There's people behind it.
Yeah. Well, good. I like that. That is more of a story than I thought.
Yeah.
It's as simple as there's a lot of people, their last name is photography, but for
Yeah.
us, it meant something a little bit more special.
If you guys weren't doing weddings, what do you think you'd be doing?
Be a stay-at-home mom.
Same.
The goal was always
My life wouldn't change too much.
to make enough money to support her family and then have her be a stay-at-home mom and live her dream. Her dream was to be a stay-at-home mom and photographer. And luckily she's able to live her dream the way she is now. And for me, I work full-time at an engineering firm as a CAD designer. So I still work full-time, and I probably will continue to work full-time for a while just to support us and have something that's financially stable. But
photography just lets us actually be able to live more.
Yeah, we'd
Have that
probably be
extra freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
still doing the same thing. Probably I'd be doing what I do. She'd be a stay-at-home mom. It's just without photography that makes a wish. Would be sad.
Yeah. It's a fun creative outlet.
It's great.
It is. It really is.
It started as a hobby, and now it's like passion, and it's a job now. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Good. What's one thing that your clients would say about working with you?
Do you want me?
That we're real, like we're pretty honest with our clients, like maybe a little too honest. But like if there's an issue that we could see coming up, we let them know, whether they want to hear it or not.
Yeah.
We're pretty honest about issues we might see coming up?
We're a little too honest at times, but we also go way above and beyond from what we've heard from every single client of ours. Is like from day one of talking to us to after their wedding day. We do everything we absolutely can to give our all for their wedding day. We know it's a special day. We're not just photographers, so we help through the process, and we're there to answer any questions and stuff. So I would say the number one thing is that we go above
people. Yeah, I do feel like that oftentimes there are a lot of people that just try to like skate on by and like give the bare minimum. Something that's really actually surprised me is the amount of times that I've heard that people haven't got their wedding photos back in the contracted time. That's like contracted return time. Yeah, isn't it?
Because normally we say like the time that we say is usually about a month past when we usually try to get it out by.
Yeah.
Just in case something happens.
Right.
So that's actually just why
we're even gone close to that date that we say. We're always a month or earlier before like we say
contract
date.
Yeah.
But we run into it all the time where people their photos go past like months past, sometimes a year past when they were supposed to get them. And it's insane, and that's one reason why it's huge for us to do sneak peek photos. And a lot of photographers do, but for us, we give a really big sneak peek gallery of all the big important moments.
Yeah.
So that way it kind of keeps them on their toes a little bit, and they're happy. They get all the big moments that they would have asked us for while we're editing and stuff. So
well, because like I know that like the process is a long time, like editing every single photo, like I get it. Yeah. But for the couple, like they understand it to an extent, but they're also so excited to get the biggest day of their life. Yeah. Like they want to see it and like
they want to relive it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just so excited that they don't want to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been in those shoes before for our wedding too. Like when we got our sneak peeks, we were like, when are we going to get our full photos that says X amount of months? It's coming up.
Yeah.
And it's being a bride and groom in that situation, we understand. And that's one thing that I think helps us compared to other people that haven't been married is like we've been in those shoes, so we know how people feel.
And we usually try to put ourselves back into their shoes. Like, okay, like if I'm the bride, think about that. What would I change? Or like, when would I want to see these photos? For me, I want to see it as soon as possible.
Right. I just like, it's a like legally binding contract. How do you, like you wrote that probably. Like, how do you not abide by that?
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
That blows my mind too, because when I hear people haven't gotten their photos, I'm like, do you have a contract? Yeah. Show me the contract. They have a contract that says in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I need my photos back, and it's been a year. And
wild.
Yeah. So.
And people are like, oh, I'm just so busy. Well, if you know that you're so busy, like,
why take it?
Well, one, why take it on? But two, why have it in your contract? Like, if you know that it's going to be longer, like, just adjust
at that
the
point,
expectation.
people can outsource too.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you really, really need to meet that deadline, you can outsource.
Yeah. Or just like the lack of communication, just in general. Like,
because most people are willing, like, if you're like, hey, I am working on your gallery,
right,
let me send you some photos.
Right.
But it's like, no, they hold them all hostage, and then it's like, okay, now you can have all of them.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What does your dream wedding look like as a vendor? Or I guess, was your wedding your dream wedding?
Is that so? As a vendor, as we are photographing a wedding, or if us now being vendors?
Either one.
So
okay,
it would be
whatever. I guess it would be similar.
So if we were the bride, if we could relive our wedding day now, and that's something we talk about a lot, is like now being in the wedding industry, we started doing wedding photography right after our wedding. So because it really got us going, and we were like, we love the wedding industry. Let's see what we can do ourselves and as photographers and videographers. And we talk about it now, like what we had a beautiful, amazing wedding, and we loved it. But of course, we didn't have the budget that we wanted and stuff. So if we could have our dream wedding, we've done a destination wedding before. I think that would be cool to do our own destination wedding and bring along our favorite vendors. Like, vendors. I believe whatever local vendors you can take.
Yeah.
If we were locally here, I mean, our favorite florist, DJ, stuff like that, right? Having a good vendor team, I think, makes a huge difference on your wedding day.
I would make the guest experience a little bit like cooler.
Oh
We
yeah.
didn't really focus on that. We were more focused on ourselves, which I'm glad. But I think like during the time of us taking photos and stuff, I would love to have more stuff that they can do. And more like I love treats, treat trucks. There would be lots.
Yeah.
At a tree truck, there is some company we saw at a wedding expo this last year that does mini golf. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh,
Like,
I think I followed the account.
yeah, I
Or
believe
some
it
of-
might be. I'm probably going to say this. I don't know if it's tea time or not, if that sounds right or not. But there's this mini golf course company, and I thought it was the coolest idea when we first saw it. Like, we're not huge golfers and stuff, but I know there are a lot of people that are. So, like, my brother is, and I think it'd be the coolest thing to have like little setups like that for other people to do.
Something other than cornhole.
Yeah, something unique, right? Like, I think it's worth investing
Yeah.
in the guest experience a little bit more than what we did.
But we also had a lot of guests. We had 300 or more guests, like show up. So
Yeah, we had a big wedding. So
Yeah.
for us, the guest experience, of course, is important because I mean,
There was a
our
lot.
wedding alone is one of the biggest weddings we've actually ever seen.
Yeah.
So if we relived it again, we'd probably have the same amount of people, 300 plus. And I think, yeah, a tree truck would be cool.
Yeah.
Golf course, cool, fun stuff. Maybe
really good DJ.
Yeah.
a great DJ.
Gotta get that party started.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good DJ, but I think investing in a DJ is important as well. Yeah.
That's good to hear because honestly, I eloped and I wish I would have done a big wedding. And I know that oftentimes that's reversed.
It's the opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I look back, I'm like, I wish so and so was there, or I wish so and so was
Aw.
there.
Yeah.
And I very much got caught up in the TikTok, like, you want to elope, you don't want a big wedding. Like, it was very like,
Which
Kind of felt pressure
I have
that way.
mixed feelings about, because like we've done a few elopements and we love it, and it's
Yeah.
like, and we've thought about it too, like maybe it would have been easier for us to elope, and we kind of missed that.
I feel like it truly depends on the couple, like what you really want. Like I personally, I wouldn't have wanted to elope. That's just not me. Like I wanted to be surrounded by my friends and family. But I know certain couples where I can't see them having a normal wedding. Like that's with their anxiety and stuff. It just doesn't make sense.
yeah.
Elopements can be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It's you get some great photos and a good time.
That's true.
Yeah.
We did an elopement last year with a couple that they paid for us to come up to Stanley and stay at a cabin, and they took us out to dinner, and it was just us and them, and we were and the officiant, and it was such a good time, and we felt like we connected with them a lot, and as that couple, I believe that was perfect for them.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the couple. If you have a big family and you're a huge family person, like we are big family people, guest people, we like to host parties, so having a big party made sense for us.
Yeah. I think it's important to sit down and really understand, like, who are we and what do we value, and not just what's like being pushed on social media. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing that's ever happened to you at a wedding?
Okay.
This is my favorite question.
We
got a few.
We've got some crazy stories. Do you want me to start off with the first story? Our third wedding we ever photographed. We were
That one.
brand new
Why?
into the wedding industry. It was a backyard wedding. The bride and groom were amazing, and we were also like, our prices were so cheap that we were getting some crazy weddings because it was either hit or miss, good or bad. A lot of things happening, and the third wedding we photographed, it was fun. We loved it. It's one of our most memorable weddings, and
For sure.
the bride and groom the groom was a wrestler in high school, and he had all of his groomsmen that were wrestlers as well. So they were all, and it was a backyard wedding. They were all a little crazy and rowdy. Yeah. They once the drinks started kicking in and party was done, and there was a pool in the backyard, so they decided, hey, let's grab the bride and throw her in the pool. So
Before the ceremony?
right after
It was after
it was during the
but-
ceremony. It was during the reception. It was after dinner, so it was when people were starting to party and drink, and everyone was pretty drunk, and they grabbed the bride, all the groomsmen grabbed the bride, chucked her into the pool with her wedding dress, and then she got out. She was pretty okay about it. She had a backup outfit, so
Okay.
she went changed.
Well,
to a
it
backup
wasn't
outfit.
for it wasn't a backup outfit for the reception. It was literally what she wore that morning.
Yeah, that morning. Yeah. So she went, and the party was almost over. So she was like, okay, whatever. And so she went, changed. The groom then got thrown into the pool. And then the groom grabbed, I don't know if it was the groom that grabbed it or so as soon as she came back out in her new outfit, they grabbed her again, threw her back in the pool. So she got in the pool twice, and
she was not.
Everyone, all of the groomsmen started jumping in the pool. Everyone started, the bridesmaids, it just became this pool party.
It was a pool party.
It was our third wedding ever.
Weddings.
And we brought along a photographer that had never done a wedding before. So she was shadowing us. And we were like, this will be a great wedding start. And she was just, what is going on? And then after that, while people were getting thrown into the pool, do you want to talk about what happened to you with the groomsmen?
Oh no.
And so I was just like, there was so much going on. I was just snapping photos everywhere. And all of a sudden, this groomsman comes right in front of my camera, flashes me. As I'm snapping photos, like literally right there. So I go up to him, and I'm like, so this groomsman just totally flashed me. And
that's what happened too.
I'm like, I need you to go through those photos.
Yeah.
And I need you to make sure that one's out.
It was crazy though, because and when something like that happens, like you should, like there's, like in our contract it said we can leave.
Yeah.
So, but it was such a fun crowd that we knew it wasn't anything like harmful. It was just kind of like a playful, like it was definitely way too much. It was like way too much.
Yeah.
And the other photographer was there too with her. And it was like all three of us right there. And he flashed her. I ended up going through the photos and I culled through most of the wedding photos. And of course I cut that one out. And yeah, so it was a shock. So that wedding was chaotic. Fun. It was definitely a memorable wedding, and it was one of the most fun we've had filming and photographing a wedding because there was so much going on. It was like we had to be ready at any moment. But then at the end of the night, one of the wrestlers, there was a bigger guy, and all the groomsmen were like, we got to get this guy in the pool. So it took
and he did not want to go in the pool.
He
was fighting it so hard.
So they had 8 groomsmen tackle this guy to the floor, and they're wrestling him
on the concrete.
Yeah. And they grab him, and he hits his head, and he's like, he almost breaks something, and he's spraying something, and then they're really trying to get this guy in the pool.
Finally, they were like, guys, he's gonna have to go to the hospital
because he was hurt really bad. And he was like, guys, you got to stop. And so they never threw him in the pool, but it was about kid you not, 10 to 15 minutes of wrestling this guy on the ground, and he was not giving up. And they got him close, but as soon as they hit the concrete, it was like, you got. Yeah. So that's one story.
That same wedding, they got her sons to say some bad words
on a speech on the microphone. This wedding was so fun.
It was wild.
That's all I have to say.
They have a little kid, what, 5, 6, I don't know how old he was. He was young. Yeah. And he got on the mic and said some cuss words or something. One of the groomsmen got the kid to say some cuss words on the microphone during a speech. And I'm like, no way he just said that.
The bride looks and is like, are you guys serious?
Was it her kid?
Yeah.
Yes, it was her kid. So it was.
But it was the aunt encouraging it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was a fun wedding, and the couple was great, and we really loved the couple. So it's one of those fun stories we look back. Now we have some other crazy stories. We went to a wedding at a park in Boise, and
Catherine Albertson's.
And during the ceremony, they were going to do a reception in their backyard at a house. So they were just doing the ceremony at this park, and they had no water. So it was a very hot day, no water. Besides, we always bring water to our events, and the officiant was up there, and he was having a hard time, and he was
because it was so hot.
Not because
I think it was
hot.
more because he really bad anxiety.
Yes.
He's not. Yeah. He's not used to speaking in front of people at all.
Yeah. And so as he was talking up there, he's stuttering and shaking a lot, and I felt really bad, but he ended up passing out in the middle of the ceremony. and he fell to the ground, and we were all standing there. We're like, what's going on here?
Everyone just sat there.
No one did anything besides like the groom and bride. Like the groom was like, so the groom got him back up, and we're looking there like, okay, is he okay? Like he fell to the ground and it's hard concrete. And then about 45 seconds later, he fell again and he passed out again. And at this point, we're like, call the cops. So we have someone on the phone with the cops, and then he gets kind of back up after 30 seconds, a minute. And we're like, okay, you don't have to have the cops come anymore. It's fine. He's up. We grab a seat for him to sit down because no one's doing anything besides like maybe the mom and the groom. The groom saw that second one coming, so he helped him and before he hit the floor. And I have this all on video too. Like I was videoing the wedding, and I have it all on video, and I'm like, do I not give this part of the video to them? So that was terrifying, and there was no water there. So like the guy was definitely, he needed some water. So we brought water that I had already drank it out of, and no one had anything. Everyone's like, do you got water? Do you have water? There's like 50 people there. No one had water. I grabbed some out of my backpack. I'm like, here you go. I'm sorry. Like, you know, it's cold. And then, so we sat him down and he finished the wedding while sitting down. We saw him at the reception. He didn't remember what happened. He's like, I kind of blanked out, and that was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
The other last story we have recently,
this is the reason why we encourage bride and grooms to think about not having open speeches.
As a photographer, you might understand.
Yeah.
Open speeches.
A lot of times it can deal with the timeline, like it can mess up the timeline, but this is a whole different. You could share it.
Yeah.
You're better at storytelling.
We do, I think open mics are acceptable and they're beautiful at certain points, but if you have a pretty strict timeline, sometimes if you want to do sunset photos or something like that, like it's sometimes not best to do open mics. So we always, if a bride and groom want to do that, we kind of put time aside for that just in case, because sometimes they can go pretty long, sometimes they're very short, so you never know what you're gonna get with an open mic. This bride and groom did an open mic and we didn't even know about it, so we talked to the DJ. Sometimes the DJ is the one that recommends the open mic day of and stuff. So
gosh, dang it, DJ.
And we're like, okay, you could have talked to us at least before.
Yeah.
Which was fine. Anyways, this random guy came up and gave a speech. The bride and groom didn't know who he was. And he comes up and he starts talking in the mic, and he's like, he was in his 80s. Older guy.
Yeah.
And he starts talking. He's like, I was walking down Highway 45 coming here, and this lovely couple picked me up and dropped me off here, and I saw this beautiful event you guys were putting on, and this is the speech he's giving. I have this all on video as well.
Everyone, yeah.
And we're listening. I'm like, whoa, this is like, I look at the DJ, we're like, what is happening right now? And he's giving this long, lengthy speech. Nothing about the couple at all. He's just like, you guys were so friendly to me and stuff. And then
he's like, it just looks like a good time.
Yeah. And then at the end, he says, I'm just kidding. They're my uncle or my sisters somewhere down the line. I'm basically your great uncle or something like that, is what he says to the bride and groom. And they're just looking at him, and
we were like,
okay, like,
okay, good,
great.
Yeah.
Okay, because everyone was like, holy smokes, what just happened? And then we go up to the bride and groom, or like a bridesmaid actually came up.
Yeah, a bridesmaid came up and goes, are you gonna put that in the like photos and videos? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, why? And she's like, because the bride and groom have no clue who that is, and we've asked all the parents and stuff, and no one knows who that is. And I'm like, okay.
Honestly, if I was a bride, I might like want that in there just because, like,
that's what I thought. I'm like, it's a memorable time. Like, they might ask me one day for it. I cut it out of their speeches and stuff.
Which they asked us to.
And then that same guy during dinner, right after that, he comes over to me, and we're eating dinner, and I have all my equipment and everything laid out, and he's like, that's a nice camera you got there, and how much does all that stuff cost?
Yeah,
farting my week.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done.
And then so I look over, and then the DJ is looking at me, and then I go up to the DJ because we have a pretty good relationship with him, and we're like, can we put all our stuff under your stuff? He's like, he came up to my equipment too and was asking how much all my stuff was. And then so I put all my stuff under there, and the DJ's there all day, so I'm like, okay, let's just keep an eye on this. And then that same guy walks back over to me and says, hey, if if you were a beer, where would you be? And I'm like, what? He's like, does he have alcohol here? I'm like,
At this specific wedding, they only had alcohol for the wedding party, like hidden away.
Oh, okay.
So he was like going around trying to find it, but there
yeah.
wasn't anything. So
I'm like, I don't know where the alcohol would be, sir, but the drinks and sodas are over there. Maybe they're somewhere over there. I don't know. Because I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Whatever. And anyways, yeah, that was a crazy story. So open mic in general, think about the open mic. We've had some great experiences with open mic where like a kid will go on the mic and like talk about the groom doing something, fighting a snake or something. And
saved my life.
yeah, we've had speeches like that where it really is amazing to have an open mic, but be cautious.
Maybe double check the people that are like,
Yeah.
I want to talk.
yeah.
Anyways, a few good stories.
Yeah. Like I said, that's my favorite question because on our last episode, we had a wild story. So you have to go check it out. Let's see. Do you have any go-to traditions or rituals that you guys do beforehand? Before a wedding?
Well, since we have a kid now, we have to drop the kid off. And then we go to the gas station and we get our snacks and our energy drinks.
I love it.
Yeah. We bring a cooler if you are a photographer and a startup photographer for sure. I'm assuming experienced photographers know this, but you should bring a cooler and some snacks because sometimes there's not waters and for wedding days and they become long.
Sometimes they don't feed you.
Sometimes they don't feed you. Put it in your contract as a photographer.
Please feed me. That's why I'm here. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we had a DJ tell us that like she hasn't been fed at a few weddings and we're like, girl, you need to put that in your contract. Like that's very like we our average wedding is about 10 hours long, so when we're there we need to eat and we eat breakfast before we come, and then we always make sure we have a cooler stocked and ready for like,
because it's not like you can leave most of the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
And sometimes it's weird to go around and ask for someone else's drinks if the bridesmaids have their own mimosas or something like that. We can't, or sometimes they don't have waters. So anyways, it's good to have your own stock.
Have you ever been to a venue that's like, hey, we don't allow outside food or drink?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the I don't know, are we allowed to like talk about which venues? Maybe not. I don't want to
after
say which venues. They're the last wedding of that venue.
Last wedding of the last year.
Last year's
my brain's not
in December is one of those.
Oh,
yeah, because there's some places that will like cater in. They have their own catering and stuff, and sometimes those venues get booked because of the catering and like the whole package deal, right? So,
but like as a vendor,
as a vendor,
yeah,
our own.
I did a wedding and I like had my energy drink in my hand, like because she like came and greeted me as I parked, and I think she's the owner or the manager, I don't know. Anyways, and I had my energy drink. She was just like, "Oh, you can't bring that," and I was like, "What?
As a vendor?"
Yeah, but she was like, "But we have like sodas and stuff inside," and I was like, "Okay, like I get that, but
energy drink. But you need it to keep it."
Yeah, and then she ended up letting me, but it was still like a weird like.
That's awkward.
I was putting my car, I guess.
No, we haven't had that. We have had a bride that you are very aware of, and her wedding. We photographed her wedding, and
that I'm very aware of?
Yes, we're all close friends with her. And she during her wedding, I think she had some alcohol, and the venue was not happy to have any outdoor alcohol brought or anything like that, right? So there was anyways, the venue owner came and like looked through trash cans and was looking for alcohol that like they had previously drinking, and
yeah.
Is that you? Oh,
behind the scenes, the bride is over here.
We have a video of that.
Her wedding. I'm
the problem.
Yeah, there was a venue that like had asked like. Yeah. Anyways, she wasn't allowed to have her own alcohol there, but she wanted to ice the bridesmaid. And there was a problem. They go searching through the trash can, and that venue owner, we've had a few. I don't know. There's been some stuff with some venues, but there's a few venues like that where like they're very strict about alcohol specifically.
Yeah,
which I understand.
Which makes sense because
like
if they're the ones that are like providing the liquor and stuff like that, but like before the ceremony and it's like just the bridesmaids and groomsmen, you know, they're at least with like beer and wine. I feel like there should be some
Yeah. But I also understand, like, as a venue, like, there's, like, licenses and stuff. And
Yes, so there's certain things that, like, you can't cross the line with.
Yeah.
But then there are some that, like, snooping through trash cans to see if the bride drank a
That's a little much.
Mike's Hard or something. Like, really, are you're gonna fine the bride for that or something like that? So, like, there are some things like that I feel like it's a little overboard. If they're just having one drink to get ready. Most brides do, most grooms do. They're like, but it's usually before the ceremony and before people get there. So there's
weddings are wild.
Yeah, they are.
Where's the coolest place you've ever photographed or filmed a wedding?
Jamaica.
Yes, we ended
It's so much fun.
we ended last year with 2 killer weddings. We did one in, was it late November? I think it was like
That was Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, we went to
late
Jamaica.
November.
Did you take the baby?
She was pregnant.
Oh,
So she was.
So baby was not here.
So we were on the resort for a week, and she was pregnant. How long?
I was
Were you?
just getting into my 2nd trimester, so I was still having morning sickness.
Yes.
Which was
And
not
of course,
fun.
we ended up getting a hotel room that was like 3 stories up with no elevator. So
Yeah.
that was awful for her. And it was a big resort. So we're like walking back and forth, and we were like going into, some wedding coordination meetings with the bride and groom. And I feel like that's another topic I want to talk about is going on, destination weddings. I feel like it's worth the investment to hire a local photographer or a videographer,
Like someone that you know.
Like local to local to
wherever area you're at. Yeah.
like where you live.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not local to the
paying them
destination.
travel, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to the destination, because we have had a bride and groom come to us from weddings in Mexico they did. Or like people have redone their weddings in Vegas because they only got like 5 photos. So
all their photos were terrible and whatever. So
I think it's worth the investment to drag along at least a photographer for like those important photos. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
And it's usually
usually the resort photographers are not very good.
I think
they don't really know what to do it.
Yeah.
yeah, like I had a couple that got married, I think in Italy, and I saw their wedding photos, and then they hired me, and I was like, but I thought you got married. But they were doing a local one, so I think that they wanted the family photos and everything, but our styles were very different. So I was wondering if like that was just somebody there. I don't know.
How that came to be.
Yeah, I always wondered that, but I never asked. I was
But it's important to do that. Like, why redo your wedding photos if you're gonna, like, might as well pay the extra investment to just tag along a local photographer that you can communicate with before the wedding, after the wedding, and like you'll know that photos, like
you can track them down.
That, we've
That's true.
stories of
Very
people
true.
that like don't get their wedding photos back because they're from another resort and they lose communication and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
if anyone wants to do a destination wedding, hire some kind of local photographer to your area.
Well, that way you could meet them, see if you vibe, rather than just
And you could do engagement photos. and, like,
engagement photos. Make
you
sure
actually become friends with them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's it.
It is. I agree.
Yes, wanted to talk.
We also did Washington, D.C.
Ooh,
And then this year we are going to Canada.
that's exciting.
My cousin's weddings in Canada, so we'll probably do a few weddings up there. I have a big family in Canada.
Yeah.
And
What part?
they're in Alberta and BC. So in between those 2 areas, I think we're going to Alberta for this next
Is that the one
July.
that's
right above Idaho.
perfect?
It's the
I don't know where
2
they're at.
provinces on the bottom left.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a really big Canadian family, and then once they saw our work, they've started to trust us, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Also, when family starts to actually recognize that you do good wedding photography, good.
That you're an actual
You're good at your
professional
service.
instead
Yeah.
of just a hobbyist.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Uncle
when,
Bob.
Exactly.
yeah, that's kind of when we found out that we were actually decent.
When your family's like, oh,
Yeah.
That's when we're like, okay, I think we've made it.
yeah.
Yeah, it gets to a point where like family, when you start off, like they don't really hire you for anything, and like you have to get your feet in the door by like taking some cousins out and doing some family and friends photos of them to kind of start off, and then it gets to the point where like they actually hire you as a wedding photographer and stuff, and they not because you're cheap, but because they actually like your work. And I think that's like the biggest, one of the most fulfilling things is like when a family member actually hires you and they love their photos, video.
Yeah,
It's huge.
I agree. Do you guys approach weddings differently than other vendors who do the same service, like photo video team?
I mean, some of them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference between us is we always make a timeline for our wedding couples, even if they don't have a planner or nothing like that, or if they do have a planner, we want to talk with the planner. But the very first thing we do when they inquiry with us is make a timeline before they even book with us. We want to make sure they get booked for the right amount of hours. They're happy with their timeline and everything goes well. So a lot of people are like, hey, I only need 6 hours of photos. We're like, okay, well, what do you want? First off, let's start there. So we send out a questionnaire and then we say, okay, you want getting ready photos, you want your sunset photos, you want this, and you want send off. So like, we're gonna have to be there from the start to end. And if you're kind of flexible with your timeline, then you're going to need 8 or 9 hours of full coverage. And then they'll see our quote and then they'll see our timeline. And a lot of the times it actually works out for us where like they see that we put all our work up front. I've built hundreds of timelines for couples. Yeah. And 80% of the time when we get to that point where they're serious enough to answer a questionnaire and we write them a timeline, they usually will book with us because they know that we know our stuff. And if they don't book with us, that's fine. At least they have a timeline to guide.
Now they have something that they can go to another photographer and be like, okay, I actually need this amount of hours instead of what I was thinking originally. Because a lot of people don't realize how long things take.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's the most different thing. Like when we talk to a lot of photographers, it's usually they get booked first and then they make a timeline, or they don't make a timeline and then they just kind of the day of things, whatever happens. But for us, we're really organized. So we want to be like, we can always add hours on later, but like right now, let's put together a timeline and let's figure out what we can do for you. And if it's too long, that's what we have to do in order to not make your day stressful.
Yeah.
If it's too much for you, then you can go on your way and hire a different photographer that is willing to do something like that. But like for us, we don't want a stressful bride. That's like, if you're going to be...
We want their day to be...
We care just as much as they do, right? Yeah. So like we want to make sure it goes well. And that's important to us for people that don't book with us too. That's why we make those timelines before. We go above and beyond in that way. And
I feel like what you also offer for video is different than what some other photo video teams do.
Yeah, I mean,
because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people also like the document. Do you say that?
Documentary style videos. I do like a highlight recap video of like their whole day. It's usually typically 5 to 8 minutes long of like a full day of a wedding. And that's another huge thing too, is when they book with a photo video team, a lot of videographers have different styles. So you got to it's almost more important to like the videographer style you're getting if you care about video than it is it's just as important as photography, because every videographer is so different from one another. There's so many different styles that like really can highlight your day in completely separate ways. So get the kind of person you're looking for video. I think the way that I offer it is my style, and that's what I like. So if brides and grooms like what I do, then great. But that's important because or else you're just hiring us for photography, and then we'll find a different videographer that's more of your style. But I think that's important when you hire a duo. Yeah. Like what their work is.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it's a more cohesive look because you guys obviously edit the same.
Right.
Versus I've seen some where they hire photo and video separate.
They're so opposite.
Yeah. They're really opposite. And I think like when you think of video, you don't think that you can edit the tones and everything to look like the photo, so it's not cohesive. But also I think it's important for like day of wedding because the coordination of photo video, like during weddings,
it's a lot.
Yeah. So the communication is there when there's a team, but when there's somebody you don't know, like as a photographer, and there's just some random videographer, like I'm trying to get the shots, you're in my way.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but like,
And again,
It's
you guys have a
yeah.
system.
yeah, and the
We're
photographer,
able to communicate without
Without communicating.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to
we give
talk.
each other an eye of like, okay, get out of my way.
Yeah.
we've done a few weddings where we're the videographer and then there's a different photographer, or we're the photographer and there's a different videographer, and those are some of the most stressful weddings because
It's a lot of coordination.
Well, and you
it's-
can't talk because it's during the ceremony most of the time. So
yeah, we're kind of eyeballing like, hey, like with her, she'll just kind of push me, go back, or something like drag me backwards. But when you have another videographer you've never met, you got to be respectful.
you're both trying to get the aisle shot.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you don't get each other's ways. So like with us, we've gotten a lot of compliments of our flow during like ceremonies, especially. We move together and we'll go up the aisle, down the aisle, and kind of get around shots and stuff. And it's kind of making sure we both get the look we're looking for. And with me doing like a highlight film, I'm able to kind of do that. Then there's more people that like record just the ceremony, like that want a still shot of the whole ceremony, and then they have to record a certain way. So like with us, I can kind of chop it up and get the clips I want with our flow.
Yeah.
And that's another problem too, is like you might get a different videographer that has a different style. So maybe you want a wide angle shot of the whole
But
setup,
that's not.
but the videographer doesn't. So we
A
get
lot of editing.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're like, okay, you're out.
yeah.
In every single photo.
Yes.
And
It's a lot of work.
from the videographer's perspective, we can't edit out
Yeah.
photographers.
Yeah.
So
That's another big thing is like, sometimes I feel like a lot of photographers that don't work with videographers, they don't realize, they're not like fully aware that, I mean, they might be aware, but they don't, in the moment, they don't really think about it as much. That video, you can't edit that out.
Yeah.
Photography, if you really need to have them in your shot, you could edit it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on
I don't know. Generative AI with Adobe has gotten really
That's
good.
but it also does have some
Wacky.
sometimes it can be a little wacky.
Yeah, that's true.
I
Yeah.
had some people that I try to edit out and it puts in a different person.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really weird.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite part of a wedding day?
dinner.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
I'm here for the food.
I mean, I absolutely love wedding days, and it's something that we are. It's like kind of like our date night because
Oh, yeah.
we don't spend a lot of time alone outside of the house anymore because we have a child and I have a full-time job. So, and weddings are like our second full-time job. Our weekends are full of weddings. So when we do go to a wedding, it's kind of like a date night, and like, and I love weddings. So like for the bride and groom, I mean, we love almost every moment. But for me, of course, I love dinner. Like, food is huge for me. Rachel has a different take on it, I think.
Yeah, my favorite part is when the mom is helping the bride get ready. Like
Oh.
those are always the moments when I start to like tear up and I have to like compose myself. But like those are the moments where I'm like, okay, like they get to see their little girl grow up and they get to like put the veil on and then they look at each other. I'm gonna start getting emotional just now. But like, yeah, those are definitely, I think that's the moment that like means a lot to me where I'm like, okay, that's just so sweet. Like knowing how much the parents did for them and like being able to give them away and stuff.
Yeah. That's cute.
But dinner's great.
Dinner's great too.
We're very different.
Yeah. It's okay. What's your least favorite part of a wedding day?
Getting out of the car at the end, like once you get home.
Oh, I thought you meant like showing up.
No. Like after the wedding day and you get home, because usually it's like a half-hour drive home or something, and then you stand up and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, my whole body hurts. Yeah.
It really sets in, and that's we stopped doing our first year. We did a handful of double header weddings, like back-to-back weddings, and
We
were just
not
like,
do that.
our photography prices were so cheap, and we were kind of getting in our heads, and we did almost 30 weddings our first year.
Mhm.
And that was within like a 5-month time span. So I think it was like 27 weddings, and it was a lot. So like double header weddings, when you get home after a second wedding,
Yeah.
you are sore and it hurts.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and then you have to go to work.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I think the one thing that's caused us problems many times, photographers, is when hair and makeup is late. I think people know, and no, shout out to Western Bell. She's done great with every.
It's
Oh,
Bell.
new rebranding. Bell Luxury.
Also, thanks for letting us use your house.
Amazing hair makeup.
They've done good.
It's okay.
No, it's important though. It's like getting a hair makeup team that knows what they're doing.
That's why we're so picky about who we recommend.
Which, yeah, we have a lot of like a few people we every time we will recommend because we know they're gonna be on time. We know Bell Luxury Bridal's gonna be on time, and a few other hair and makeup teams that have never caused us problems, right? And I think as a photographer, it kind of stresses us out where we've had hair and makeup run 2 hours late, 3 hours late on a wedding day up until the ceremony.
Yeah.
And
they
you're
were
supposed to get
doing
ready
the first
3 hours
look.
before.
It was so stressful.
So that, and it's, yeah, it's sometimes like inexperienced hair and makeup artists, or if it's a friend doing it or something like that, we always tell them, make sure you're ready by this time. And we kind of make that a little bit of a buffer time because we know some hair and makeup artists, when it actually does run on time, we're like, wow.
That's why we also tell people to do the trial. It's worth it to do the trial.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, it can cause problems with wedding day.
Yeah.
Because that pushes the photo timeline back. And then we have to really go fast through a lot of things. And we don't get the kind of quality of photos we wanted and stuff that we were expecting to give the bride and groom. But we got to work with what we can. That's how wedding days are. But I do believe it's important to invest in a lot of important vendors that know what they're doing to make a good, successful wedding day.
Yeah. That's so funny. What's a common misconception couples have about photography or videography?
You could just edit it out.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot.
Can you just edit that out?
Edit that out. And like, it's usually like the bride saying it like, oh, they'll just edit it out, don't worry, or something like that. And I don't know if they just say that to make other people.
Which is sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're serious.
Like, other times I'm like,
out of every single photo? Do you know how long it will take?
give you so many photos.
We're going to be delivering 800 photos. Are you sure? Like,
it's like, if you want it delivered on time.
Yeah.
and maybe that's when a year in advance happens for photo delivery. So I think that's one of the things, or that like photo and video are basically like the same thing. I think a lot of people don't invest in a videographer because they don't realize the impact a video can make on a wedding day. And I was kind of one of those people too. Luckily, we had a team, a photo, video, wife duo, husband and wife duo, do our wedding. And video to me at that point was like, I don't know if we need it or not. But then once we had it, we're like, wow, it made a huge, it's like reliving your wedding day. Like photos are one thing. You kind of have to have photos.
Yeah.
And then having a video is kind of that extra add-on that like people don't realize it is different than photography. And it's one of those things. And we're two different people. So like another big thing on wedding days is with videography, I'll go up. I have a gimbal in my hand and like mics and stuff. And people will sit there and just just smile, and I'm like, it's a video. Do not see. I have a gimbal.
Yeah.
So a lot of guests are always like, they just kind of stand there. And I'm looking for movement and stuff. I'm like, it's a video, so I have to approach it differently.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that for some reason people, I mean, I get it. Maybe if you don't know what a gimbal is or something like that, they kind of think you're a photographer as well. But
they might be expecting like the big
the big backpacks.
No, the big
like the movie kit.
Yeah.
And
that's not common for.
That's not very common
unless it's like a super high end
luxury wedding.
Yeah, then.
And that's one thing we run into is people, and Rachel's great about like, listen, after this pose, we're gonna need some movement. So like, and that's a good photo video duo, like a husband and wife duo. We can do the same kind of poses, but then mix some movement in there. When you work with a videographer so often, you kind of know like for video, movement's great instead of all the still shots. So
and then also just I don't think people realize the editing process, like how much work goes into that, like the culling that takes hours, and then like video is a whole other thing where it's a lot of work.
I spent like sometimes 10 hours rewatching the videos. So for videography, I have to cut through all of the footage. I watch every single clip that I filmed through a wedding day just in case I miss something. And that's sometimes like 10 hours of just rewatching film.
Yeah.
And then I finally pick out the clips I like, and then I have to make a video and then pick a song. For me, music choice is really important. And I usually choose the songs for the bride and groom. I kind of get a feel of the day and like what my wedding video is going to look like. And sometimes it's taken me like 10 hours to find a song I like. Just like I can hunt
He gives
through
a
songs.
lot of thought.
Sometimes I'll find a song quickly, and sometimes I just like this song is not going to match that.
Yeah.
And luckily, almost every couple, I'm pretty sure I've never been asked to redo a song, but it's something I take pride in. It's like, it's just as important as for your video.
Well, think about how long it takes to find a sound on Instagram.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah, so for everyone else that like understands, like, oh, I've already used this sound on Instagram yesterday, so I'm gonna you gotta hunt down like, imagine that for a full wedding day that like I'm editing a whole video to, so I need
something that they're going to be looking back at for years and years.
Yeah,
it needs
not
to be
just a
good.
trendy like.
Yeah, so that's something I invest a lot in, is the music that we're going to use. The time that goes into it is it's a process.
Yeah. Well, and just with the editing, like you got to make sure that it flows. So the amount of times you watch the same clip, like to bridge that gap between two clips, is wild.
A lot.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
Anyways.
If a couple's on the fence about hiring, I'm gonna say a videographer because I feel like everybody understands that photography is important. What would you tell them?
I think as a photographer also, the most important thing is, pick a style you like. It's, we hate being that pushy photo and video team. Yes, we love getting clients but we want them to
Ultimately,
love our work.
Capturing your day, and you want to be able to look back at it and not be like, wow, I hate those photos and video. Like,
so we step one is we want you to love our work. We don't want you to hire us just because, like, that's our first year. We were so cheap that people just hired us just to hire us, and they didn't care about our quality or anything like that. And we were startups, so we were learning, and our quality was a lot different. But I think it's important to hire who you like. And like when people are on the fence with us, when we sit down with them, we're like, we're not going to push you in our direction. Like, I hope you fall in love with our work. We can show you our work and show you the kind of style that you'll get.
And we usually try to meet with them in person so they can get a sense of our personalities and stuff to make sure that we actually click with them.
Yeah, we want them to, and usually in-person meetings help a lot with booking clients. But I don't want someone to hire us if they're on the fence about us and they don't love our work. Like, it's your wedding day. You need something good. It's okay if we don't get you as a client, as long as you're happy with your photographer and your videographer. I think that's the most important thing. And for video, I think
most people should hire a videographer. Like, you know how many times I've heard couples say, I wish I would have had a videographer. I would have loved to look back and remember exactly those moments. And even for us with having our wedding video, we look back at that every single year on our anniversary and we get to watch it and we're like, I forgot about that. And I'm like, I'm so glad we have that memory captured. Yes, it's nice to look back at the photos, but I don't know, in video, it's just such a different like feel to it.
Yeah.
It is. Like we sit down and like, I get emotional editing a lot of videos, especially for wedding days, and she gets emotional watching my videos. So like, we will sit down and like, there's moments that we didn't realize happened during their wedding day that like I happened to capture, but wasn't even like thinking during that time. I just kind of captured it. And then when I go back to look at the clips and like rewatch it, I feel like you get a different feel with videography than you do, depending on how it's edited correctly. You can really get the emotional feel behind the wedding day itself. So anyways, I believe it's really important. There's some times where like we'll rewatch and like we just cry over and over like certain things of like these big emotional moments that like we can get a photo of it, but as soon as you see it in video, like relive that few second clip, it hits you so hard. And I think a lot of people don't realize that like until they watch their video and then they're like, wow, I'm so glad I got a video, or I wish I had a videographer. And I mean, some video is not people's thing, so that's fine if you're not going to hire a videographer, but I do think it's really worth the investment.
Yeah.
Whether it's us or someone else or whoever it is, like it's important to relive your day in that way.
Well, I think it's important too, because like how people hire a photographer for looking back on old like grandparents or stuff like that, the video is different because you actually get to remember like their movements, and it's the like the little things, their voice, like different things where you don't get in the photo. You just have the photo, which is nice, and then at least you would have something. But I feel like if anything were to happen, I would want to be able to like see them again, but like see them in their like little movements and stuff. What's the most rewarding part of your job when it comes to working with couples?
Friendships. That's my favorite part.
We make a lot of friends in the wedding industry with couples.
We had like no friends before shooting weddings, and now we have friends.
Honestly though, I will say like I know vendors are next level. Like they're so friendly, like so easy to get along with. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's like you meet some good vendors, you meet some good couples, and with us being a photographer, we're there for like usually like a year in advance and we do engagement photos with them, we book sessions, and we hang out with them. So like there's some couples that like by the end of their wedding day, we feel like we're pretty close friends with them. Like we're there attached to their hip on their wedding day. And like for us, the number one person I remember the most on my wedding day was our photo and video couple. They were just attached to the hip all day. And I don't know, I feel like we've made a lot of friendships. And then when like the best thing is like when guests come up to us during the wedding day, during the reception, and they're like, you guys did so amazing, and compliment us for our work and like the effort we put in. There are things that like we're not just doing photography sometimes, like we are helping fix the bride's dress or do certain things that like we want to make sure the wedding day goes as smooth as possible. So sometimes there's issues that happen that we do our best to help out, and
I think
more than just that.
I think the most rewarding part is the end of the day when the couple's just like glowing and just so happy that everything went like how they wanted it to.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. What's the most fulfilling part about being a vendor in the industry? Kind of similar, but
Friends.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many friends we have made that are vendors, and vendors that like we've met before doing weddings with them, and then we do a wedding with them, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. We had worked together, and we've gotten compliments from other vendors that we're pretty talkative, and like we like to talk to vendors. We've had DJs that have been like, you guys are different than any other photographer that we've had. And I think it's just because like we're there for the whole wedding day, and we want some friends to talk to. So sometimes we talking to the DJ that's there just by themselves. It's fun to have a conversation with and like become friends with them.
Otherwise it gets lonely.
And it gets lonely sometimes. Luckily we're a team, so we're there to talk to each other, but I can't imagine just a solo photographer or like solo DJs how they feel.
It gets lonely.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I was super introverted when we started doing weddings, and now I'm extremely extroverted with weddings, and I think connecting with DJs and wedding coordinators and other photographers that are there, it's like really important.
Well, and it's important too because they'll refer you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like it's more important to I would say it's just as important to connect with the vendors on wedding days as it is the bride and groom, because you're going to be getting maybe a few business from the bride and groom if they loved you that much. But those vendors, you're going to get way more referrals from those vendors that loved you and loved working with you.
I think also making connections with like vendors that are in your same like category. Like I love becoming friends with other photographers because
they get it.
They get it, and then also like they will help refer you too, because we get booked up all the time, so we're always referring people out.
Yeah,
and it's so nice to be able to get someone that understands it, and then be able to recommend and be like, okay, they will take care of you. Trust me.
Yeah.
I think it's the whole thing, like competition versus community. And I believe if you're looking at other photographers or videographers as competition, it's kind of a nasty thing. Like I feel like having the community feels so much better. I can't tell you how many, like some of our best friends are the people that filmed our wedding, and they do the same exact thing we do. Their style is very similar to us, and we have booked more weddings that they've given us than that they have stolen from us. So like we will see on posts on Facebook or something like that where couples come to, and if they book with that person, we're happy for them. Like, great, you guys got it. Because we know as soon as another couple comes to them with that same day, they're going to refer to us. And it's vice versa. Like, sharing, like being a good community.
There's enough work to go around.
That was the biggest thing that they told us when we started. They took us under their wing and they guided us and showed us how to, like, they let her shadow a wedding when we were starting out, and their biggest thing was there's enough to go around. Like in the Idaho wedding industry, each vendor, you can get enough bookings. Even as photographers, there's so many photographers in the valley, but just make friends with your other vendors, whether they're photographers and you see them as competition or not. It's way more impactful if you become friends then.
Well, what's really nice is when they have your same or similar style, and then you can hire them. Like, because you can't
do. Another huge thing too is the people that
second shooting and stuff like that, and associate shooting. Like, we love having people. Like, it's important for us to be able to have backup people that if something happens and we can't make it to the wedding, that we can trust another photographer or videographer to go shoot it for us, and we can edit and everything. But
or even for like your own sections. Like,
photographers need photos too.
And another thing I'll say is it's hugely important to ask, like, once you've, like, let's say booked a photographer, like, ask who they recommend for photo video, because they know the industry and they know these people, like, on a personal level, and so they can give true and honest most of the time true and honest recommendations. Most of the time. But yeah, good. What can you describe the best wow moment you've experienced with a couple on their wedding day?
Think
for me,
that one wedding,
wow moments for me are a lot of emotional moments that kind of happen. Shout out to one of our brides, Bailey and Bridger. They during this wedding, we were with them for a moment. They were talking about balloons a little bit. We didn't know about this, like what balloons had to do with anything. They're like, make sure you capture the balloons and stuff. We're like, so like we heard that like the day of, people talking about these balloons and stuff. So we didn't know what it was. I don't know if it was before or after the ceremony, but like we went over with them.
I believe it was after.
I don't want to get like.
It's okay. It's okay if you get emotional.
Like
you can be emotional. You can be
emotional. It's okay.
Got me very emotional watching this thing. They told us to come on over. They had a bunch of different colored balloons on strings, and they wrote messages to people who had passed, like their grandpa, grandma, stuff like that, right? And they
apparently this is like a tradition.
Every year they do it. I don't know if it's on. I don't know what day, like specifically, if it's for the same. The whole group of people at the same day, or if it's a different on each of their birthdays or something. But they wrote these messages, and then they had pictures of each one of them underneath them, and then they just released the balloons up into the air, and they just had a moment. And that was like, we both looked at each other, we're like, wow, that was like we felt it, and that was very impactful. And so those sweet emotional moments are like, wow, let's think about doing this ourselves. Like, this is awesome.
I think one of the wow moments for me was actually not on a wedding day. It was after he had edited the video. There was this couple, her grandpa, who basically kind of raised her, had just passed that year. And so she was like, she incorporated him into the wedding a lot. As much as possible, but after the wedding, we ended up getting a voicemail from her that he had left her that said, "Love you." And so he incorporated that into the video, and like had like a picture of him and stuff. And it was like, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, like that got me really emotional.
That's one of those moments where I tear up editing videos, because like, I mean, emotion is a big part of a wedding day, and you want to feel that. So, when she sent that over, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, oh, this is so sad, but and she had dedicated like a whole song just to her grandpa that passed, and a speech too. The DJ had presented a speech that she had asked for, so it was like a whole.
Because she had planned to do a dance with the grandpa.
Yeah, so instead it was, I believe, it was. I don't know if it was.
She invited everyone who had lost someone up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were like really big, like wow, emotional moments, and then the other, like, to kick up the the first like wow, this is cool moment was the first time we saw a good DJ. So
it's important.
yeah, which is one of the Idaho Bride vendors, Jesse D. So that same wedding, Bailey and Bridger, that released the balloons, it was our first year, and we had done like 15 weddings before this, and we had, it's usually when you're in those like that cheap category, it's usually people that are like doing their own DJing or like a really cheap DJ and stuff like that. They invested a lot of money into their DJ because they
really cared about the party.
And the first time we saw him work, we were like, whoa, this is like, the dance floor is popping.
I
this
think
is
it was
cool.
the first time I had heard anyone mix.
Oh,
so
really?
I was like, whoa, what is this?
I truly think a DJ can make or break the reception.
100%.
For sure.
I
feel like it's one of the most underrated vendors. Like
the number one most underrated vendor.
Because DJ MC, like,
Yes. Yeah. So like when we can meet DJs that are like, wow, we loved that guy or that girl, refer them all. They're the number one vendor that we're like, right away, if you don't have a DJ, please book with one of these people because it'll really kick up the mood and get the dance floor popping. And if not, I mean, they're the best in the best. So like, if you just get an average DJ that's playing music, that's fine if you're on a budget. But I feel like if you want a party,
just don't rent a speaker and
just like play your own.
Your drunk friend playing it.
Yeah, please don't do that. We've had plenty of weddings where people don't book a DJ, and it's, yeah, there's sometimes the songs don't get played correctly, and or the bride and groom are doing the speeches the whole time and like kind of running the show. It's best with bride and groom to lay back. The DJ's got it handled. It's I can't say enough good things about a DJ.
Well, it's important to trust your vendors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you hired them for a reason. Like, just trust that they've got your back.
Yeah.
Know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Done plenty of weddings. So I think that's huge.
What's your favorite wedding day tradition and why?
Favorite wedding day tradition?
Yeah, like first look or...
Oh, yeah. I think my favorite, we had talked about this, is actually a cake cutting.
Yeah.
And I think I have a different perspective than most people. When I was talking with Rachel about this, she didn't realize that I look at it differently. I believe cake cutting, you get an insight into the couple's personalities. So like, you really get to see if they're going to be fun and playful with it, or if like you don't want to touch the bride because she's like, don't put cake on her face. Then you kind of get like, oh, okay, maybe she runs the show kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or,
I haven't thought about that either.
Yeah. I get a huge insight into those into that alone. Like cake cutting, to me, I feel like I get a grasp of their personality. And if they're gonna be playful and they both smash it in their face, it's usually some of our goofiest couples that are like, that have the funnest with photo and video, and then sometimes the more serious couples are like, no, don't touch me. Yeah. And then sometimes the bride's just like, no, I have a lot of makeup on, no, but they are maybe a little silly or something like that. But a lot of the times I think you get a really good glimpse into someone's personality when you get to see the cake cutting happen, and like whether or not they're going to be really good with it or they're going to smash the cake in their other face.
That's way more insightful than I ever thought.
You surprised me sometimes. I'm like, wow, you really do. You think about this stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like special dances, like the first dances, daddy-daughter dance, mother-son dance. Those always just...
The mother-son ones? Tear jerkers. I don't know what it is.
Never really... So I mean, I've always liked them, but when I became a mom to a boy, that's when I was like, now every time I'm like, okay, hold together.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like dabbing, like trying to get the fingers,
like trying to like focus. My eye starts like totally like burning.
Yeah, and they pick like such good songs, and that just adds to it. You're like, Waterworks.
Exactly.
Speaking of, what's your favorite first dance song or moment that has stood out to you? Or you could just say your first dance favorite song.
I think the first dance that stood out the most to me was our Jamaica one, because they had it choreographed. I love choreographed
Amazing.
dances. They are so much fun, and they did like lifts and everything. Where I was like, okay. So I like those a lot.
That's huge when people choreograph dances. We didn't offer our wedding
For
day.
video, it looks really, really cool.
Yeah. The other moment for me, we had a couple that we did engagement photos of, and while we were doing their engagement photos, it was actually at the place that the guy proposed, the groom proposed. So he had asked me, they had quickly asked, like, hey, can we just, like, no one even knows that we're engaged right now, can we just get a quick video of him proposing right now, like fake proposing, right? So I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, and it was like when I was brand new to video, so I did a quick 30-second video of him proposing and like a little highlight of the area and stuff. And then I went home and I put a song over top of it. It was like this song that I felt fit them, and it was just a 30-second clip. And then I found out on their wedding day, they used that song I used as their first dance song.
Oh, wow.
So it really made me feel special.
Yeah.
Made me feel like, wow, they like, that song really did resonate with them. So like, I never had that happen before, where like a moment like that where I felt like I literally picked their first dance song.
Yeah.
And which was a huge wow moment. But like once they saw the video, they kept replaying it, and they're like, this song, like, it's special to us. And that was like a huge moment for me during their first dance. Like, oh, this is like, I can't believe they picked it.
He's like, that's the song. I was like, what song? I didn't remember it. And he's like, I picked that song for their engagement. And I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Really sweet.
That was awesome.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding or feedback? That's kind of the same. Like, sorry, I'll read the question. What's the most rewarding feedback you've received from a couple? I feel like that would be
like after a wedding day. I mean, I think reviews are huge, right? When you get a positive review. The one thing that we just talked about last week, we had a couple that we did their wedding, but then they booked us again for family photos. I think it's like a huge thing when like couples come back and actually book us for multiple
and when they
photos.
change their profile pictures.
yes,
that's my favorite.
yes.
But then the like biggest thing of them all is like when we see when we get to see our work in their house. So when we see videos that people post in their stories of like, they just kind of post a video of like showcasing their new work on their wall, which we just saw last week, and we're like, we don't actually get to see that very often. Like, people put up our work in their house often, I would assume, and they don't share about it, and like we don't share about a lot of our stuff on our walls too, but like when they do, it's like, wow, like that was awesome, blown up and seeing your work printed at a huge display.
But you probably get it.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, no, I walked into somebody's house one time and I was like, I took that. And then like this whole wall, I was just like,
yeah.
You're like, are you serious?
fangirl over here.
I think a lot of our photographer friends, like, that's the same kind of reaction.
Yeah.
It's like, like for our wedding day, one of the people that took our photos, my mom has them printed out everywhere in her house, like the family photos and like moments with me and my dad and her and everybody, and they didn't know that, so they came by and they're like huge pictures printed out, and they're like, that's our work, like that's cool. And just seeing their reactions to seeing the work put up on poles is like a huge compliment. So any couples grab or whatever,
Print your work and tag us.
feel free to print your work, show us what you've done.
Yeah.
It's huge and rewarding.
I'm gonna say one more. When they instantly like post the photos. When they don't even take the time to respond to me, they just post it.
Yeah.
That to me is like, okay, they like this.
Yeah. Because then like when they don't post it, you're like,
it's like, did they not like it enough to share?
Yeah.
But everybody has a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it like it does something to you when you see your work printed. Like, and that's
For sure.
a huge reason why like I like the magazine, because it's just like, I don't know.
It hits so much different.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it gives you something you could be proud of.
And it's like tactile, and it's just,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't really see that anymore. Like, I'm honestly trying to create a photo album for my baby, because I like
I
the
think the printed, yeah.
and the flipping through the pages. I don't know. It's something about it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up looking through photo albums, but I feel like as we're progressing in the digital age, like, you don't really
Now
get to see that.
everything is digital.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have something that you can just hold.
Yeah, for sure. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, it was just the, like, when you like get a sneak peek, like, they're not even posting about your work, but like you get a sneak peek of the video, and like your thing is on the wall, you're like,
And it's like, whoa, look at that.
yeah. Okay, what's one of the most unique things you've ever seen at a wedding?
There was a motorcycle entrance.
We had
That's pretty cool.
mechanical bull at a wedding too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's fun.
One thing we did that we've pushed to a few couples that I want to push to more couples, I just get a little nervous talking about it. For us, like, people always trying to raise money for their honeymoon, right? And a wedding's expensive, so like that fund is pretty important. But a lot of people nowadays don't really, like, maybe $100, $200 here and there, right? With us, Rachel's sister had done something that we were like, I want to do that same idea for us, for our wedding. What we did was we promoted a cake smash. So during invites, we said we're going to have a separate cake at the end of the day. One of us will get a full cake in their face on their wedding day. And it depends. We're going to have 2 separate boxes. So we had 2 like plastic clear boxes that had a funny picture of each of us. So I had a goofy picture of me, goofy picture of Rachel.
They were not very flat.
And then we had the cake in between it, and then we had some decor that was like, you know, whoever gets the most money in their box gets the cake at the end of the day in their face. And we also had some Venmo.
We also had Venmo, yeah.
Venmo scanning, because a lot of people don't carry cash nowadays. We ended up raising like $1,800 that day, and mind you, we had 300 guests, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of guests, but like we raised $1,800.
The couples that have chosen to do it, they have raised more money than they probably
would have. No one. I mean, we got
just because it makes it more fun, and it's also for the guests as well.
Yeah, we've had people raise $400, $500. You know.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you get the entire cake smashed in your face.
Well, I think it kind of goes more along, like, as well with the like the tip jar. Like, if you make an interactive tip jar, I'm more likely
You're
to
good
tip,
at most likely.
versus like, I have a couple questions for you. I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions.
Can you take the survey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, if they put like 2 tip jars, and it's just like something I resonate with versus something I hate, like,
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote with.
Yeah. And on a wedding day, it's special because people like are willing to gift you a little bit more money, and like we promoted it beforehand. So some people that were gonna give us money in cards decided to just keep their money and put it only in her box or my box, right? So at the end of the day,
put it in mine.
and it was like a
Just saying.
It was a competition between guests, right?
Yeah.
So it was like the bride's family versus the groom's family, like who's gonna get. And we had my dad, which is a very loud guy and a very like he loves the center of attention. So we had him be the MC for that. So we had him get on the mic and be like, guys, there's still some time to put some money in the jars and stuff. So we're like, if anyone takes that idea, have someone announce it multiple times throughout the day, like, hey, we're still doing this competition. The end of the night, before the send-off, we're gonna have a cake smash, right? And then we changed into separate outfits. We had different outfits just for that cake smash, not in a wedding dress, right? Or we've had people put trash bags over them before. But we've had a few couples do it, and it's always fun for the guests. That's kind of like that guest experience as well. Like, if you're a couple that's willing to do something like that, the guests love it, and it's such a unique
Especially if the
idea.
bride gets it. Just saying, a lot of people like that.
Yeah, because she lost, so she got the cake in her face.
Well,
And
technically, I won because I got more money.
yeah, she kept it. And we used it for the honeymoon and stuff, right? And that's
She had a better honeymoon.
Yes, I did.
Yes. But I truly think that's like one of the best ways to rack up your honeymoon fund if you're a bride and groom, like interested in some unique idea like that. It's fun for everybody. Just promote it throughout like your planning process. We sent a separate card in our invites that said, you know, there's gonna be a case match. So like,
we even posted it on Facebook.
We like bring Facebook and stuff.
Give me all the money.
It's great, and it truly helps. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a good idea. So pitch out. More couples should do it.
I like it. What's one of the most challenging wedding day situations you've handled or had, and how did you handle it?
Oh, I just had another one top in my head. I dropped my camera and broke it.
The first wedding we ever filmed.
Yeah. I cried.
I
did not handle that well. That is why we decided he was going to join weddings with me, because he is good at keeping me not super stressed out.
It was right before.
Luckily, we had a backup, so
that's important.
We were just the videographer for this wedding. So there was a photographer, and we were kind of learning video. It was our first time ever doing video, and she had put her camera on a tripod, and someone hit the tripod, and it wasn't tied in correctly, and it fell back. Camera broke. Right.
That's actually how my phone broke.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, so sad.
Yeah. It was like 15 minutes before the third too. So. And then we ended up getting we had GoPros and other things ready. So anyways, that was at that point we were like, it was already a crappy camera. So it was like one of the startup cameras that you get from like Nikon.
It wasn't a paid wedding. It was my cousin's wedding.
Oh, okay.
He was like, I saw you had a GoPro. Can you come video for us? We were like, sure.
Yeah. I just thought videos.
Yeah.
I know there are some that you're like, in the beginning you're like I never want to see that again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was crazy.
File that deep in the memory bank. Way back there.
Solved the question.
What's one of the most challenging wedding day situations you've handled?
Oh, and then the other one we had was we did have a bride. One of our first years, it was a bride that was very strict on budget, but she wanted like everything captured. So she hired us for just photography. And she wanted so much that it would have been like a 12-hour wedding day for photo coverage, and she refused to pay more than 7 hours of photos. And
then that's somebody else's problem.
Yes, and
but I get
she had already booked us, and we told her, we sat down with her like, listen, we need to sit down and talk about what you like. This is going to be like, we have to skate through these photos so fast if we're going to do this, and it was the most pressured timeline ever. And we told her like, and at this point. For us, we were at our cheapest price point ever. We were like booking weddings for like $700, and we were doing like $50 add-ons per hour, right? So it was like an extra $50 would have gone so far for her, and we were so extremely cheap.
Sorry, 700 for how long?
6 hours is what we started. Yeah, and
that was the first year of us doing it, though. So we are. It's very different now.
Our thought process with doing photography first was like, because we weren't. Our quality wasn't there. We knew it wasn't. And we were learning. So we wanted to just kind of get our foot in the door in the wedding industry. And we didn't know what price points we're at. We're like, we're just going to go cheap, right? $100,000. And that's why we got 30 weddings or something.
Yeah. They're like, this is a steal.
Extremely cheap. And it was great and terrible at sometimes. Like once we upped our quality.
That was also the wedding that the hair and makeup ran 2 hours late.
So hair and makeup ran 2 hours late, as she had a 7-hour timeline, and then
I almost passed out that one.
Everything went wrong. She ripped her pants that day too.
Yeah, I also she also
stubbed her toe.
No, I sprained my toe. Yeah, I was in a boot after that.
This wedding was insane. It was such a high pressure, like everything was so fast paced. She bent over, ripped her pants. We didn't have a backup outfit. I had to drive home. Luckily, it was like 10 minutes away, so we drove home, got another outfit for her, came back.
But I had to do the groomsmen photos while my pants were fit.
Yeah, so we just had a jacket tied around her pants.
Yeah, it was so awkward.
And then I got there, and then during the reception, she stubbed her toe, she kicked one of those huge metal posts in the ground.
It was not my day.
That wedding day was rough. Photos turned out amazing, though.
Yeah,
the couple, somehow... It's still, I look back and I'm like, wow, those photos were unbelievable. Like, it was such a rushed wedding day, and it went exactly how we told her it would go. Like, you don't have enough time for this. And In the end, I don't know how she felt about it. Like, she loved our photos and stuff, and I hope she loved her wedding day, but it was exactly how we explained it would go.
Mm-hmm.
And worse, because it was 2 hours of photography, ripped pants, stuffed toe. It was bad.
But it is nice when it surprises you and you're like, that didn't go, like, when the product doesn't reflect everything
I
else.
looked at the photos and I was like, wow, I can't believe that was from the same wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what's a photography trend or videography trend that you're loving right now?
The late night flat lays.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, those are
just like, I don't know, it's a whole different vibe. And I love it.
do you want to explain what it is for people who don't know?
So it's basically at the end of the night, the reception, I mean, you kind of throw in whatever, just like flat lays, but you could do like half-eaten cake,
It's very like messy compared to the traditional flat lays, but it's a vibe. I love it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I love the look.
Yeah.
And I'm liking flash photos. Like, especially like veil.
Flash photos are sick outside. Those are really cool. I think we've done a few times where we've took the couple out and like done another portrait session where it's just flash photography. And she was really scared about using flash when we first started getting into it, and now we have a great flash, so like she's really comfortable with it now. But I think some of those photos are like some of the coolest things, like especially veil shots at night. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's another cool trend.
Any video trends?
No, I mean, I've kind of gone into some video trends here and there where like you'll see like the whole wedding party lined up and you kind of back up and they all kind of come in and like shake hands or something like that, or like fist bump, and like we've done that before and stuff, but in the end I feel like some of the video trends take a lot longer than
I feel like video trends are more for content creation. So like for like how he does videos, it doesn't make sense. But if you're wanting like the video trends, that's when you hire a content creator. It's very, very different.
I feel that too.
Okay, what's a trend you're hating right now for photography?
Okay, I have mixed feelings about this one. I love it.
This is going to be a hot take, so...
Okay.
Which one are you
I'm ready
talking about?
for it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I've got some hot takes.
I'll let you talk first.
Oh, you can talk. No, you go first.
No? You're going first.
In our service, like in photography?
In photography.
A trend that's going crazy right now that high-end photographers do, maybe you do, I don't know, but angled photos.
Oh, yeah.
Hot take.
Get him out of here.
I don't like
drive me nuts.
I'm sorry. We don't. I don't like. You have a perfectly nice photo, bring it, and people angle it out 30 degrees. Or like, here you go.
It literally looks like they accidentally took it.
I think that's how it started.
Yeah, like, oh, it's close.
People are like, this was such a good photo.
Yeah.
But it's angled.
I feel like that's a hot take because there's a lot of high.
If that's your vibe, go for it.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Or also like blurry photos and stuff too.
There's a time and place.
Yes. I feel like sometimes.
I like blurry photos when it's like with flash and the like sticks and everything, like the glow sticks for partying.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's certain times where I'm like, okay, I like it, but for big moments, I personally do not like it.
When it's supposed to be movement.
Yes. When it
makes sense.
When you're setting it up to be that.
Yes.
Because of a look. Like one of my favorite shots ever is when you have the wedding party walking back and forth. You have the couple in the center, and then the wedding party is kind of blurred out, but it's focused on the couple. That's great. It's an artistic shot. It's really cool. But when you're purposely just, I don't know, sometimes
when it looks like it's almost on accident, which it probably is.
Yeah. I feel like that boils down to experience.
Yeah.
Because it really, like, if it's a photo that's completely still and like you like move your camera a little bit, like then it's just kind of like I have motion sickness from looking at this. But when it's intentional, then it's like
exactly
that's a.
And I feel like you could really tell when it is intentional, and it's like, okay, that's actually a really cool shot. But if it's I'll be scrolling through Instagram and be like, look at this photo. It is so angled and so blurry and I hate it.
Yeah.
And then Actually, what you said was going to be different than what I was saying. Mine is, I love it and I hate it. It's the, you know those like QR codes or whatever that people can scan on their phones and then they could take like 10 photos and it automatically sends the bride and groom?
Like the POV app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love-hate relationship with it because I love the idea, and as a bride, I absolutely love getting some of those photos. But it has ruined some of my photos before. Like, if people get in my way to get their shot, and then the couple misses the professional photo of it. So that's why I'm like, I love and hate it.
That's what I like. Like, I know it's so, like, everybody talks about it, but unplugged ceremonies are so important.
Yeah.
That way... But one thing I will say that I've seen it and I've implemented that has worked wonders is you have everybody like sitting down, phones away, the couple walks down the aisle, and then the officiant says, okay, we're going to take a minute for all of you to take a photo of the bride and groom.
A minute?
Yep. And then,
love it.
And then phones away. And it works.
It really does.
That's a great trend, actually.
I love that trend. Yeah.
It really gets them to take their photo and be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I think I would recommend that.
That's a really big one, yeah.
It's like unplugged ceremony with that
caveat.
extra minute
like
of
perfect.
photos.
Yeah, because I mean, like it doesn't hurt anybody to add that extra, like, and it's not even a minute. It's truly like 10 seconds.
And honestly, that gives us photos of like people wanting to capture, which is kind of cool to be able to add into their gallery.
The coolest photo I like to take as a second shooter when we're hired for photography is during those moments. I like to try to, like, she's getting all the like
main
the
shot,
prime shot, like she's going to be the first-hand photographer, right? And I'm back there doing kind of a little bit more artistic styled shots. So like one of my favorite shots is when people have their phones out, the bride and groom, I will take photos of their phones, like a clear photo of them taking a photo of the bride and groom. And I feel like it's some of the coolest, like most unique shots. Is they're like during special dances or something, I'll run around, and if people are videoing the special dances, then I'll kind of take a photo of them through their lens. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Those
I have a little tangent. I did have a bride who was so set on, like, I don't want anybody to have their phone out during the ceremony. And she was like, and if anybody does, I want you to edit a chicken into their hands.
that too.
We've done that.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It is.
That's a great trend.
It is. I like that trend. Yeah.
We had a kid in the wedding party flip off the camera, and we put a chicken where his middle finger was, because we're like, whoa, what's going on here? And we're like, I think all the kids were doing it. Weren't there like 3 kids?
Yes.
Full, like the ring bear, and then the flower girls were all flipping off the camera or something. So like we put chickens in every one of their hands. Like, no, can't do that. What's going on here? Who taught me?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great try.
It is. It is. And then I'd still try to give like one nice one where I like try to edit the phone out.
Yeah.
It's always fun to have those fun ones.
It is, and it's a nice little Easter egg, because like most of the time they're probably not expecting it, even though they asked you, they'll forget about it.
Yeah.
For sure. They're like, oh my god, this is so funny. Okay, what's a general wedding trend that you're loving right now?
Florals, lots of florals.
Big.
Yes. Yes.
I like someone we saw at the expo. Is it Blair's Bloom?
The huge one. So cool. Yeah.
They're so unique and cool. I love the big florals and stuff. And they're like, we haven't seen that at a wedding yet. We've pushed a few brides to try to do that, because I feel like that'd be the coolest look, to have those huge fake flowers that are like massive, or just tons of florals in general. Like, I think that makes a huge difference.
I also like drape. Like, I feel like that just,
I'm not there yet,
when
but
done when done correctly.
Yeah.
And as long as it's not like overwhelming, but like, I don't know. When it's done correctly, I'm like, oh,
I think we have that like
that's good.
I like Tamarack Resort.
Sometimes if it's not done correctly, it looks really bad though. So
yeah.
There's certain venues that, like, if you add it to it, it goes along. So
yeah, that one I'm not sold on just yet.
That's okay.
But I have seen some pictures that I'm like, yes, but I don't see any venues in the area that I'm like, yes, that would be super good.
That's a good point.
Like, I feel like it varies,
because I was very
depending
like
on the space.
barn.
Yeah.
Barn weddings and drapery. So
I have a blog post about non-barn weddings, but I also have a blog post for barn venues. So there you go. Yeah. What's a trend? Wait, did we answer both of you?
I
I
forgot.
don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. What's a wedding trend that you're hating right now? Drapery. Just kidding.
That's okay for you to hate it.
But I am okay. Sorry, back on the wedding. I am loving the like maximalist like drama. Like
yes.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. I feel like
Like the mismatched bridesmaid dresses
Mhm.
and like just like so much decor where it's like really thoughtful.
yeah,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, and it makes for like such like interesting photos, especially with the mismatched colors.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that is something I'm like, yes, I agree.
You're like, we can do more of that.
Yes, please give me the drama.
We love it. Yeah, I'm the same way. And pearls. I don't know. I love pearl veils.
Yeah,
Those are my favorite.
yeah.
And then you said
The trend that you're hating right now.
hating right now. I think the money dance
Yeah.
is kind of one of those things that like
I feel like it's going away.
it's going away. But we've had couples do it, and sometimes
It is awkward.
Sometimes it's sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like we've had couples.
I think
get-
we've only seen it work once.
Yeah,
And I was shocked when it worked.
I feel like I would just kind of stay away from the money dance in general. I like
For people who don't know what the money dance is, do you want to explain it?
So it's
I don't imagine who that would be, but just in case.
It's when like guests come and they will pay the bride and groom for a dance with them, and then you basically tap out by paying money to the bride and groom, and usually it doesn't
It's like a stripper.
yeah. It's a way to raise money again. For, like, the artist.
Yeah.
But, like just
you don't make much
Yeah.
with it.
yeah. We have had weddings where like not one person has participated, so it's just the bride and groom dancing up there, and it's very awkward.
And the one time it did work, it went like way long, where it was like literally 4 songs long,
Yeah,
and
I
that
made a lot of money, but that was also an older couple. That,
Yeah.
like, some of those. I feel like if you're an older couple, it might be able to work. It depends on like what your guests like experience is like, right? So I think like a younger couple, a lot of the younger guests there and stuff, or if they're all introverted or not.
Mhm.
The younger people don't have money.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
That's true.
But I will say, some of like the quote unquote older couple weddings, like they do it right. Because they have the money to do it. But like
Yeah,
those are some of the, like,
will pay more.
yeah, the best weddings that I've seen.
so I feel like that's one trend that like I don't know. It's
Plus, I think they've had longer to think about it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's very true.
Okay. What's a small detail that makes a huge difference on the wedding day?
Oh, you know what? When the bride and groom don't wear your watches
Yes.
for the wedding day for a few
Like
weeks.
the entire summer.
Yeah.
Just take it off.
Like
It will make your wedding photos so much better.
yeah, sometimes like it's one of those things where we have like 600, 800 photos. We're not going to edit it out of every single photo. Like maybe you have a huge tan line, but you had your Apple Watch on, so now there's a huge wristband that goes around your thing. We've had some brides where like it's honestly best to just wear your watch at this point on your wedding day. Like it was not the plan, but at this point it just looks better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like how you don't wear a swimsuit, like, because you don't want those tan lines.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important.
Yes.
It's for a lot of reasons, but like for your look, don't wear.
well, and again, you can't edit out a video.
Yeah, you can't edit out a video, so you'll see your
So-
tan lines and you'll see. So just don't wear bracelets, watches, or just don't go out in the sun.
Stay inside.
I think also having like emergency kits with like a bunch of different things you could think of, having your makeup touch-up kit, like you never know what's gonna happen. Have a little sewing kit in there or something.
Yeah.
Like that stuff goes a long way if something goes wrong.
Gotta fix some brides' dresses and,
Yeah.
and grooms rip their pants sometimes. So like
Yeah.
a little sewing kit, like they're always shocked when we have an emergency kit ourselves because we bring one for those reasons. We've had to fix wedding dresses and suits because right before the ceremony, someone rips something, and having that extra touch-up kit, like, and they don't think about it. They don't have one, so we're like, oh, we got one, we'll go get one, and then it kind of solves their problem temporarily.
Yeah.
But I think that's huge, just to have backup kits and water when you're getting ready.
Yeah.
Snacks. I think snacks are a huge thing. Like getting ready moments. You're gonna only have, like, some brides and grooms barely get to eat during their wedding day. Like snack when you can. When dinner comes, you're going to get people coming up to you and talking to you a lot.
I've also seen this idea is having just married box, like snack box or whatever. So like after that you can have in your car or something. So because most likely you eat it like during the wedding day, but once you get into the car, you're going to be like, holy stuff, I'm hungry.
And then nothing's open. Yeah.
So like having a box and stuff ready in your car, so right when you're done, you can just eat.
Yeah. Another thing on the emergency pack, I've seen a crochet hook to get the buttons on.
Oh yeah.
On the dress.
Makes it so much faster.
Yeah.
We have one too, I think, in our, we have it in one of our kits. It's not in our emergency kit, but it's in one of our.
I think we took it out at one point. I think we need to get a new one.
But I do think it is important that the couple has, they're like $1, but I think it's important that the couple has it, because when you're trying to get the dress off and your husband doesn't know how to take it off, I think
there's so many buttons.
Yeah, a crochet hook for sure. Yeah. Okay. How do you balance staying organized and being flexible on a wedding day?
We always put the timeline as our screensaver.
Oh, I like that. Me too.
That's a number one thing that photographers should do. It is.
Yes.
I feel like we saw it at some point, or maybe we saw it online or something. Like, that's a great idea. So then we started doing it, and it helps us stay track. The number one thing is don't stress a bride out on her wedding day. Like, she's already stressed out enough. So like, whatever we can do to keep the timeline going and tell her don't worry about it, we'll come get you when
she shouldn't even have to look at the time.
Yeah. So like, I think us having a timeline on our phone that we can just quickly look at, and then we can see, okay, some things are running behind, and then building your timeline to where it's a little flexible for situations like that, where like maybe hair and makeup go a little long. Well, let's wiggle it in here and let's figure out where we can make it.
Yeah. And just make sure you're communicating with the other vendors.
Exactly.
So I think that helps a lot when you're staying organized. And
I feel like all weddings, something is not going to go to plan.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like every vendor has to be able to be flexible.
Absolutely.
If you're not good at being flexible,
this is it, right?
Yeah. So I think it's just, you just have to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah. How do you see the wedding industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? And how are you adapting to those changes?
AI robots taking over the world. No, there's...
I was gonna say,
That's a little dramatic.
I don't feel like they can capture the emotion.
No. I think content creation is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing.
I think it's starting to be a lot bigger, yeah.
Not a lot of people that do it
around here.
I think content creation in the next 5-10 years will be one of the biggest things, I think. So trying to evolve to like be more like that. For us, I don't know if we're gonna ever get into content creation, but I think we've talked about expanding our team and hiring on people that like, we have good friends that like we've talked about. There's another photo and video duo that we're like, we should partner up and create a team where there's 2 photographers, 2 videographers, and then hire on a content creator. So we've talked about that. You know, if the industry starts going that way, then I think we'll try to lean a little bit more into that. I think one thing that helps with over time photos, the edit style, I believe a lot of people, the trends kind of change through the years. So right now there's a lot of like the warmer look for a lot of editing in the photos, and that's kind of where a lot of brides and grooms are focusing your time on. But I think maybe in 5 years it'll be a different type of editing trend, right? So you got to kind of evolve your trend. With us, she's more like true color, and I feel like that will not change. Like that might always be like the secondary style that people
I feel like
choose.
I tried to change at one point and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I think I just stay true to how I am, and there's always going to be someone that wants that.
Yes, I think we got into a point where like because we know like the warmer style, like is the more luxury, higher end stuff right now. Like a lot of people like that look.
But so, will you like it in 10 years?
Exactly.
Yeah, and will you like it in 10 years? I mean, that's up to them, right? But for us, I think having just a true to color, bold look, like that's what makes her happy. That's what makes me happy about her editing style. And like we kind of started to dive our toes into like the warmer style, and it just wasn't for us.
Mhm.
So we're like, let's just take it back a step again and like regroup and like see what we can do.
Well, and I'm sure you guys have gotten this too, but I couldn't tell you the amount of messages that I've got that are like, oh my gosh, like I cannot find anybody who's true to color in the sea of like browns and yellows and golds.
Yes.
Like the warm
We
stuff.
get that all the
Yeah.
time. It is so common. Yeah.
I mean, in the end, that's just kind of a style preference, and that's what makes photographers great. And different photographers is pick the style you want. And those people might now be making a lot more money, but then when the trend dies down,
Yeah.
who knows what it's going to be in 5-10 years? I don't know if it's going to continue that way or not. But I think it's a safe bet to be true to color. It's kind of, it may never be the preference of style,
But it's time.
but it's still, it's timeless, and it's going to be.
There's always going to be some.
Well, and I've even heard of like brides complaining like, well, that wasn't the color of this.
Yeah.
And that's more on not doing your research and understanding that that's their editing style. Yeah. Because I know that a lot of times you like the way a photo feels, but obviously you don't like how it would like look on you, which I think is important for like engagement sessions.
Yeah.
So that way you can
That's a
see
big deal.
how that photographer's work looks on you.
Yeah.
And I think
Because you might love it on someone else, but when it comes to your photos, you're always going to be, you're going to be more picky.
That's the biggest thing with us is like, we tell brides and grooms, like if they're kind of a little bit on the fence with us or what, it don't matter if you love us or not, we do a complimentary engagement session with our full packages. And we have people that are like, oh, we've already done engagement sessions, we don't need it. We're like, no, this is more for us and you. Like, you don't realize you need it, but you do need it. So like they don't realize that like when we get a chance, we tell them, this is our chance to work with you before the wedding day. We get to feel your personality, and you get to feel our personality of taking photos and our style.
We get to see what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And you get to see how we work, and you get to see our work afterwards on you.
And if they don't like our photos, then we don't want them to hire us for their wedding day. And that's kind of an important thing on our work, is like, we don't want someone just to hire us. Like, it's kind of a test run, right? Like what people do with hair and makeup and stuff is like, engagement photos is your chance to be like, yes, I love these photographers, I'm so excited. And then also on the wedding day, we feel like we're friends because we've already met each other and we're got a close relationship at that point.
And they're more open to you.
Yeah.
Like they've already worked with you, and they're not going to be so guarded.
It just feels so much smoother and so much more like comfortable for everyone that way.
And if we don't go good with them, then that's our chance to be like, listen, I don't know if our styles mesh well. We've
There has been a situation.
We've had that happen once when we first started photography for weddings. We had a couple book with us, and luckily they weren't on contract at that point, just for engagement photos. And then they tried to book with us for the wedding photography, but when we gave them their engagement photos, they were like, why did you edit it this way, or why did you do this? And then we got to a solid point where everyone was happy, and we sent over the contract, and they started questioning, why is the contract like this, or why is it like this? Like, what are you doing here? I'm like,
Red flag.
I think it's just
And even
best to,
the
like,
day
part
of like
ways.
working with them for the engagement session, I could feel something was off. Like it wasn't a good match, like for either of us.
Yeah.
And
There's nothing worse than like showing up to a wedding day and not vibing with the couple, and like, and they feel it, we feel it, is we want their wedding day to go good.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just like, we'll step out. If that means we're not getting paid for it, whatever. Like, we don't want to ruin a wedding day or anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Well, I think it would be like, it's a fun idea to use the engagement session as like a fun little date night, because you can coordinate it with your hair and makeup trial,
exactly.
and then get your photos done, and then go on a date because you're already dressed up. So I think
Most people do.
Win-win.
Yeah, it's great. And we were like, you make sure you're taking her out on a good date night.
Yeah.
So I think it's,
And then you can see how your photo or your hair and makeup translate with your photos.
yeah.
So that way you can be like, oh, I didn't actually like my hair like that. And then it doesn't ruin your whole wedding day.
Right. So for any new brides, that's a great idea, is like pair up the trial for hair and makeup with engagement photos. So take it out on date night afterwards too.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah. Because like when I got my engagement pictures done, we were all dressed up and we hadn't even thought about going out afterwards. We were just so focused on like getting ready for the pictures. I was like, well, I feel cute. Let's go do something. Like, I don't want people to see me.
You're like, I didn't just do this for nothing.
Yeah, let's go out. Yeah. So plan for that. That's a good idea. Do you have any advice for couples who want to make the most of photo and video without breaking the budget? I hate that term, but it's what everybody uses
That's true. Everyone does use it.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
Photographers that won't break the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens.
It doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, that's what I
It's like, give us at least like an idea of what
Yeah.
your budget is.
And we're kind of at that price point, kind of a lot of people's budget. But we do offer budget-friendly packages that are like
Less hours and stuff.
less hours, like 4 hours and stuff. I think the biggest thing is like if you want to book with us and you love our work, book with us early, and hopefully you have a flexible timeline. So like if you haven't picked a ceremony time yet or anything like that, but if you want sunset photos, if you want this, like I said, we write timelines before we book with the bride and groom, and we try to make it as less hours as possible. We tell them like, look, this is your baseline minimum package with us, and we always shoot for that, because if they're happy with it, we like to save them money where we can, and then they can extend an extra hour or two if they want a longer dance party or something. So I think it's, if you're flexible with your timeline and then booking with us, it allows us to kind of help you with your ceremony time, with getting ready time, and then it helps flow a little bit better.
I think with us, you're also already kind of saving money if you're going to hire a photo and video, because
A team.
we do charge more for video, but it's definitely way cheaper than if you were to go find someone else that does just video.
Yeah, because video is pretty expensive as well. So if you have a separate photographer, separate video, if you're going to do both, I recommend a duo for multiple reasons. For there's price, there's the flow of the wedding day, a lot of things. Another thing too is we've had couples come to us for, we like to call them adventure bridals, and they're just in their wedding attire. It's photos of them in their wedding attire out in some other location. So like if you love our photos so much, but like you can't afford to have us on your wedding day, we've had people hire us just to take out for a portrait session for 2 hours in their wedding attire. And that's a fraction of the cost, right? It's nowhere near what our packages are for even our half price package. So that's another option too. If you love our photos, but you just want us to have some kind of photos.
Well, and like all of the ones that you see, like the really intricate bridals or the bridals in like wild locations, like those were not done on wedding day.
Oh, no.
Right.
Absolutely not. No.
Those are always done on a different day.
Yeah.
So that's,
Or it's an elopement.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Can you share a behind the scenes moment that only those in the wedding industry would understand? Or a funny anecdote?
there's a lot of times where we're helping fix like timelines and stuff behind the scenes with the DJ and the coordinator, quite often, that a lot of people don't realize that we're doing. Or like there's times where like we'll see there's no ice in the drink bucket, like can we get some ice in that drink bucket so people can have cold drinks? We've done things like that where like the bride and groom don't actually know that we're helping out with the actual event itself. We're going behind the scenes and then talking with other vendors.
Or fixing the bride's makeup.
I think
She cried after her first look.
I think the one thing that most vendors can relate that are there all day is when the party kicks in and there's alcohol. I can't tell you how many times we've been offered to drink with them, and they're the bride and groom, come drink with us, or guests are like, hey, just have a shot with us. And we're like, no, we don't do that on your wedding day. That's not gonna happen, I'm sorry. And even when the bride and groom are like, come on, just, you're fine or whatever, I'm like, you got to separate work and personal. You can be personal with them to a point, but then when it can affect your work product, it's making the smart decision. Where we've seen other photographers and other people drink at weddings, and I just don't believe in it myself. I believe that it's a very important day, and I don't want there to be any kind of reason that like their photos are messed up and they don't like it, and they're gonna relate back to like, oh, you were drinking on my wedding day and stuff, and I don't think it's a smart decision. So there are people that do.
Well,
That's on them.
there are some venues that like have strict rules against it. Like vendors cannot drink here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because they're working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people forget that they're working. It's a job. It's not just, they're not just there to have fun.
Yeah.
They're
Even though it is, it's a fun byproduct. But
yes.
yeah. What's something that often gets overlooked in wedding planning but makes a huge difference when done right? I think the timeline. Sorry to answer your question.
Timeline, yeah.
Timeline's huge.
Timeline's a huge one.
I think with us, like when we write a timeline for a couple, I can't tell you the stress level goes from 100 to 20. It's like they don't know what they're doing on their wedding day. If a person that has experience in the wedding industry, a photographer or a wedding coordinator, hire someone that knows what they're doing, because we've done plenty of weddings. We know how weddings flow and what looks good and what doesn't.
When you've seen the things that don't work out.
Yeah.
So you know how to.
Yeah. So we can recommend, like, hey, if you have questions, talk to us. Like, some of the best weddings are when they actually talk to us throughout their process. It's like we are open almost 24/7 for you. Like, come
Even if
talk to
they
us.
think it's a dumb little question, it's like we're happy to help because it'll help you for your big day.
Yeah, it's
And ultimately, it will help you guys too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What is one piece of advice you'd give to couples just starting their wedding planning journey?
Pick your 3 priorities, because most likely you're gonna have to have some wiggle room with something, unless you have like a huge budget. But pick your 3 priorities for the bride and groom. Get the groom involved too.
Yeah.
groom should have his number 1 priority, and the bride should have their number 1 priority. Is
And
like
then together.
number 1 thing, and then do something together. For us, my number 1 priority was food, and I wanted good food. And so, like, I took the charge on that and was like, listen, that's just what's gonna make me happy, is having good food for everyone. So I took the lead on that for us, and then her number 1 thing was photography. So she got to pick the photographer. We invested in that. Is like, invest in your most important priorities first,
Yeah.
and then don't push it till the end. Like, if you have a certain budget, but photography is the most important to you, and then you book photography at the end, and you're like, oh, I only have $800 for photography,
Then you're not gonna be able to get who you want.
book who you want first, and find what your priorities are.
Well, a huge thing is book in advance. So that way, like, your vendor that you want that will make or break your day is available. Book them as soon as you can.
Yes.
And usually cheaper too. So like, people that book, we have people booking for 2026 and stuff, and they're getting our cheaper pricing, because like, who knows when people update pricing and stuff too, like when you start getting booked out. So some of those like weddings that like our first year, we had booked a year and a half in advance, and when we got to those weddings, we're like, well, we were charging $700 for the wedding, and now we're charging way more than that or whatever. So you get a good discount if you book early. So your vendors early. People like, some people make fun of you for booking your venue so early or photography, but like, that's the smart decision. That's a great financial decision, and you get to know that vendor a little bit more too. And you're comfortable. You can pay things early, and then don't have to stress about putting it all within a few months.
Yeah.
I think another one is to don't let anyone influence like what you want for your day, because
Mom or dad.
that's one reason why with our contract we do not let parents sign contracts for us at all. It is the bride and groom. That way when it comes to contract, we don't have to listen to the mom and dad. It's what the bride and groom wants.
Yeah.
And if the bride and groom wants the mom and dad in charge, okay, fine. But we don't want to do something that the mom wants us to do, and then the bride doesn't agree with it, or the bride has some issues with that. It's like, we talk to the bride.
It's their big day.
It's their day. And then if they tell us the mom is in charge, or okay, fine, with certain things, we'll talk to the mom. But I think that's...
Last question. If you could give every couple one piece of advice before their big day, what would it be?
Let go of perfection. Not everything's gonna go perfect. Accept that, and then your day will feel a lot better.
There's always almost every single wedding we do, there's something that goes wrong. Whether it's something little, something big. Just understand that your days,
there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and it's very rare that everything goes perfect. So kind of keep that in mind, and try not to stress about it. And if you have a good vendor team, that usually solves a lot of those problems. Is so like, trust your vendors too. Your vendors know what they're doing, and they've done plenty of weddings. So lean on them when you need to for stress and stuff. Like, most of the time the vendors got it handled for you. So it should be just an easy flowing day for you to just kind of relax.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Congrats on being in the magazine.
Thank you. We're excited.
Okay.